Good evening. We'd like to start this Cannon County Middle School study session. Tonight we've got Mr. Neil Applebaum, Ms. Diane Hickman, and Ms. Andrea Alexander here to go over some of the finance stuff, and then Ms. Julia's got some other stuff here too that we got presented about East Side Schools. So I will turn it over to Ms. Julie first, and then we'll go from there.
So, Mr. Neal and I spoke a few weeks back, and there were some questions that you all had about Eastside as far as capacity and different things of that nature. And so we had someone come and do a more of an in-depth feasibility study, if you will, of Eastside to answer some of those questions. And that was what I emailed to you all last night. And then you have a hard copy of that as well. And it gives, no matter, deciding, no matter which route you all decide to go, as far as opening up Eastside, if you choose to go that route, and in what configuration, there are some things that the building's going to need no matter what. And that's included here in this report as well. You also have a copy of the plan or a drawing of what Eastside currently looks like as far as the number of classrooms, the cafeteria, gym, all of those sorts of things as well, so you have a good visual of that. At this time, Mr. Neal, if there's anything that you have to share or questions after you all have had an opportunity to look at the information that you had been provided, we can start there with some questions.
I don't have a big speech prepared. So the architect we used was with St. John Engineering. We've worked with them for the last 5 years on various buildings, and we've worked with the engineering company for more than 10 years, so they seem like the right people to get started with as far as getting existing as-built drawings and as issues, on paper as to what they would want us to repair and bring it up to code and bring it to ADA standards. So there's definitely some money to be spent just reopening the building as is. We don't have estimates on that because someone has to tell us if they want us to go forward. There's $400,000 in Fund 177. That's the Adequate Facilities Tax Fund. So that would be the first money that we would use to go further with this.
What was that number again, Mr. Applebaum?
Fund 177, 400,000 approximately. We don't have June numbers yet. And there's some other dollars in that account that would potentially be available. We have to work that out with the commission. So from doing more legwork, background work, those are the funds we would tap. If we were gonna go forward with major construction, looking at Fund 141, which you guys all have that. This is tracking everything that's beginning and ending balance of each month this year. June is not current, May is current, June is last year's numbers. We'll have June figures later. So there's roughly, I'm expecting that we'll have about $9 million or $9 million or so in Fund 141, end of June, after the audit's complete. So then we can also discuss at a later date how many dollars of that we can put towards renovating the building, but there's certainly some dollars. That's where we would start before we, go anywhere else to find financing solutions.
What is this number down here on the bottom, Mr. Applebaum?
The spread.
So the low balance is July. I did this, some of you have 5 years or 6 years, so that's the high balance for the year. This is the low balance for the year. I just wanted to look at that over multiple years. The highest balance always hits after property taxes are collected for the year, and then we start coming back down, and then we start collecting property taxes again in October through February. For example, going back to 2021, this is the
They did share, and gave a breakdown as far as, looking at if it was a K-4 elementary school or needing it to be a pre-K through 4, the number of students and the square footage of those classrooms, and determining how many students could be in those classrooms, and the number of classrooms per grade. They also, if you all go this route and go a K-5 school, then they also gave information concerning that. They did say that there's 13 existing classrooms there, and so with the current outlook, then that would leave, if I'm finding the right spot, 10 out of 13 classrooms would be in use. And then if they did a K-5, then that would mean 12 out of the 13 existing classrooms. And then, of course, if it was to accommodate a larger student population than indicated above, then you'd be looking at having to add a new wing onto that existing building, and would require a cafeteria expansion. They also broke it down into primary and secondary concerns or needs. Obviously, the primary needs are the ones that would take priority over the secondary needs. Looking at, and they broke it down into architectural recommendations, then also, here's the next page. Site, the building, the site recommendations as far as the outside, the driveway, playground, those sorts of things. And then looking at HVAC and different areas such as that. Architecturally, it would, the fire and sprinkler system and the water flow would be something that would be a primary that would need to be addressed. Then they also have a primary as hazardous material and microbial testing. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And that's pertaining to any of the asbestos that's there as well. Another primary would be the secure gym and public entrance for that, because as of now, going into the gym, it's right there at the front of the building, and anyone would have access to get down into the school building itself. So having a separate entrance for that. Flooring, some ceiling tiles, again, breaking that down, primary and secondary in each of those categories.
If we're gonna reoccupy, Stacy Slayball certainly suggested we re-roof this building so that we have no water leaks, or at least water leaks under warranty for the next 20 years. What we did at the community center was actually put a pitched roof on it, which should be no water leaks for 50 or 100 years. So that's an option, you know, if you're gonna reopen the school as well. So getting a good roof on.
Is this the school that has the septic issues usually?
I didn't hear the question.
I don't,
The east side doesn't have no any septic issues?
I mean, I had been shut it since I've had this job, so we have to go back and ask them if they had, any problems previous before I took the job. I'd say there is a lot of water problems that will have to get fixed, which I had talked to Mr. Gannon about that, and he recommended coming in on the, and we tap in, closed down by the store. He said he would tap in over on the right side. Is that maintenance down here?
yeah.
He would tap in on that side if it was us, whoever would have it.
That has a pump system as well too, don't it?
It has a
Pump
system.
for your septic.
Yes.
I don't believe, from my recollection through my time, I don't believe Eastside was ever one of the school buildings that had major septic issues. That was another building.
I think it was south and north have always had problems, but I'm not sure about.
Yes, and that's the two I still have problems.
Great.
I mean, looking at just if you've done the primary stuff, just quick glancing, I'm thinking you're 15 to 20 million.
I don't think so.
How much do you think?
The basic stuff, 2, 3, 4. A roof is $1 million, flooring is a few $100,000, maybe 300,000 or 400,000, putting the kitchen back together. And don't quote me because I haven't run numbers on this, but, I don't think it's 15 or 20.
What about the gym and stuff? What do you think of, that's where I was like getting the bleachers and the stage, what they had suggested in here, and then the driveway. I hope I'm way off. I was just,
I hope you're way off too. I would imagine.
I'm just going off the construction world I'm in.
Whatever the square footage of a new gym would be, or gym renovation, so a gym renovation is probably $250 a foot, and an additional gym, a new gym probably run $500 a foot, based on what we're seeing with everything else.
Those figures that you just said, though, that doesn't take into account an additional wing, correct? That's
Correct.
just
No, that's just,
right
That-
here.
That's
Well,
The
getting
existing
it all
building.
back together, functional the way it is, if the current format is functional for your needs.
how many units are out there?
I mean, the units, you,
I mean, but how many's out there? 10?
well, you've got, the new wing has the P-tags in them, and then rooftop units, about 8 to 10.
What's the recommended take?
So
But
if you,
you got the ones over the roof too, so. I think around 8,
That's what I was thinking.
I think it's around 8 if I'm counting right in my head. And the new wing is the P-tag unit.
if the decision is to consider this seriously, then the next step, you're gonna have Stacy Slayball put numbers to the minimum list of things, and then she can estimate for the bigger projects.
Would anybody else like to see those numbers?
I would love to see the numbers.
I would too.
Going back to the second page, though, if we're looking at it, housing 180 to 200, that original figure was what, 265? So, I don't know if we need to just look at the wing while we're looking at everything, because we're already over the capacity of what we want.
So we all decided to do a K through 4 or K through 5. I guess that's gonna be.
I
Well,
guess
that
that would
can-
be something we'd have to discuss some more in depth, because you're gonna have to look at not just that school if you do K through 4.
What was that, Derek?
Like if we done that one a K through 4, you'd
They'd
have
all
to look
be-
at the other 3,
Right,
or the
other
two.
two.
So fifth grade would come to the middle school. Yeah,
I mean, it would have to.
yeah.
And there would be plenty of room.
What I'm reading here, and you tell me if I'm right, how this reads. The study says we can effectively do K through 4.
That's my understanding.
With no
You
adding.
also
With
could
no
do,
adding.
and you also could do K through 5 without adding.
Not at
No.
that 265 number, neither one.
K through 5, you have to add. According to this on page,
I thought the 265 number that we were given was K through 4 for each school. So
265.
for K through 4, yeah.
Does that include pre-K or just K through 4?
In pre-K.
Pre-K through 4, okay.
But if you done a K through 5, it says on page 2, the next to last paragraph, with more of existing spaces was required for standard classroom purposes and new wing housing, administration or instructional support.
I saw that
If you
now.
included
How
the
we
take
said it
back.
a few minutes ago confused me. I apologize for that.
Say, let's just say 5 million, what would that look like in loans as of right now? I know it can change with, if we took a $5 million loan out this year, what would the payments average be, do you think, seeing right now? I'm not holding you to it, I'm just saying with today's day and time, interest rates, what would we be looking at a year, you think, close to?
No, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to give you a number like that.
Okay.
Well, even let me get you a number. Yeah, I'll get you a number.
And I know things can change, interest rates and all that change.
Yeah, USDA numbers will probably be in the 3 to 4% range. That I know.
Ms. Curtis, did you have anything to add to this?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any more questions or suggestions, or now's the time? What would we like to see, not see? How many boilers are out there, Melanie? 1, 2? And that does the whole building, cafeteria, bathrooms, and everything? That's probably what,
It's got a hot water heater down, the new wing, it's just got a hot water heater down there.
for the new wing?
But the rest of it's a old, we'll have to be replaced, it's.
Right.
We cut it off, but it was leaking water.
Is that as big as one of the boilers here?
Yeah, it's big,
I figured it was.
yeah, it's really.
Also, I know this is not part of that study, but I think we would need to possibly look at the fencing as well out there, just to make sure the fencing like around the playground and stuff like that, just to make sure it's all still,
We need actually add a playground,
yeah, we'll have to, yeah, that's on here too.
because we gave it away, most of it.
But which, if they're wanting to add that, if we did their suggestion of adding the driveway, if I read it right, they're wanting to make the driveway from the back come all the way around. So you would probably have to move some of the playground, I think, anyways.
You'd lose the back playground, right? The front one probably wouldn't.
Or
be
like
affected.
relocate it out front and put a fence around it out front in the big part.
Which there'd need to be work anyway for the playground to make it ADA
Right.
compliant.
And personally, I think if we were to reopen this, you need to look at adding a bigger parking lot. That's my opinion. That don't mean we have to do it. I'm just thinking if we did this and spent the money, because people will be lined out, they've always been lined out to the road, Manstown or 70. And the way that driveway falls, has that ditch along it, you can't really drive off into the grass.
They mentioned that traffic study as well.
That was suggested.
Which is a good thing with the traffic, I think that a lot of that's died down since the 4 lanes have come through, so.
Good.
A decision's gonna have to be made. And with the things that we've looked at, with the information that we've been given, I think that it does make the most sense at this time, just with what I'm looking at. And what we've been looking at, is it makes sense to reopen the school as,
Right.
as, K4, K5 one, and keep this building as the middle school. The school is more equipped, this building is more equipped at this time, I think, to take on a middle school. And I think looking at East Side and the things that are there in that building, I think that is more appropriately, and looking at the finances, that it would be more appropriate for it to be an elementary school.
And we are gonna have the next one for the public to
Yes.
speak out and give ideas or opinions. Do we want to, does it cost, how much would it cost us to get quotes? Anything, possible quotes off some of this? From Miss Stacy?
We need this information, we pay the architect to generate this information, that's what they do, they estimate buildings all the time, they estimate everything they've worked on for us before it goes out to bid, so we know what we're getting ourselves into, and then decide if we're gonna move forward or not. So,
Right.
I'll have Stacy Slayball work on, a site plan and a larger site plan with the other things involved. We'll get financing numbers at various millions of dollars and various rates, and, we'll generate a table out of the items in her list, and, we'll have her run numbers.
I mean, I would like to see the numbers to see what we're gonna deal with.
I would too.
I think to be best informed, we've got to see, so. Thank you for
Sure.
taking it.
Anybody else have anything tonight? Questions, comments?
For the community, I know there was discussion or questions about the 13th or the 20th of July for that. Some people are gonna be out of town.
I think we were gonna
We're
put
gonna-
that on was that on the July agenda?
No, I
No,
thought we
we're going
voted on.
to discuss tonight questions for the
Questions,
survey.
Okay.
right.
Questions
But-
for the survey.
Right, but
Yes.
as far as determining whether July 13th or the 20th.
I had thought we made the
We already
motion
made-
last
Yeah.
week that it was,
The
We've already
13th.
scheduled the 13th.
that we had
for the-
scheduled the 13th
Yep.
in our motion last month. So right now, it was voted on in June to have it on July 13th.
Okay.
And it's already voted
off or listen to it. What, questions would y'all like to see on the survey? After seeing this and the other meetings we've had?
I've had multiple citizens reach out to me, not just my district, but multiple saying, make sure to put on there whether or not they want a middle school. Because they still do not want one.
Okay.
They did not want it in the past, they were totally ignored and still not happy about that. And they want to make sure there's also a comment section.
We should be able to do that on each question, shouldn't we? Comments, add
Yes.
comments to the question?
Mhm.
I would also see, the K-5 or K4 on there, what they think.
Pre-K.
Pre-K, I'm sorry. It said K in here.
Well,
okay.
if you go through the research, there's a reason why elementary stops at 5 and 5 doesn't go into middle school for mental and all, capacity and developmental and all that. So if you go into ask a psychologist and everything, there's a reason why elementary stops does at 5th grade and does not go into middle.
Right. Anybody else got more questions? That's only 2 for a survey.
Or do you all want to think of questions and you can send them in and they can
Email
be,
'em in.
and mail them in and we can
I'm okay
do
with
it.
it.
So we meet next
When?
week for our regular monthly meeting.
It is just next week, isn't it?
Yeah.
So classified. I don't quite know how to put it, so I would like a little bit of time to maybe draft it.
Think
But I
on
would-
it,
but
have
I-
it
But I
tonight.
would like to, something along the lines of, what are the considerations that the public, what are their considerations when they're trying to look at this situation? Mr. Romeo brings up a great, what are the reasons that you do want K through 4, K through 5, or you don't even want a middle school? Like, what are the considerations, that are being taken for that? I would like to, that's a good way to start talking.
Well, and in our plan, this is me, we need to, this is just focusing on just a few grades to me. We have other schools that have other things that need to be taken care of. So when we get a plan together for future, we need to add
Yes,
everything
I agree with you.
I agree.
before we get into, that's why I was not ready for finance to come yet. That's why I said last time, no, I was not ready. Because we need to get together and come up with more of a plan that covers everything for the future. Nothing against y'all, I appreciate all y'all's hard work, but, that just, we're growing, there's certain things, we need to make sure we cover, because,
And asking the public that, what are you considering here, like, that's gonna help. I think that would foster some conversations to help that. Rebecca, I mean, I do, I don't know if y'all do, but I think it would.
I think on that line, though, that minimized to me just a little bit of what this school is going through right now. We are focused on K4, K5, pre-K, 4. But right now, we have a middle school and an elementary school in one building, and they are being impacted tremendously by this, and that's why we're here. And so to say we're only looking at a small group of people, that's not true. We're looking at the whole county's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and their well-being on this. So that should maybe be a question too. How do you feel if the middle school were just to stay put? Because I'd say a lot of those middle school parents would love to see them in their own building. And I know the teachers would.
And that's one thing you also need to consider. It doesn't affect us. It affects mainly, not the kids, the teachers. The
Staff.
teachers are the main thing, people being affected, because they put so much heart, time into their rooms to then get uprooted. They have spent summers. IT, maintenance department has worked overtime, without compensation, helping get things taken care of. We need to make sure we get a plan in place that minimize their overtime, you know, and put in place, like 2 years down the road, it's gonna be this, 3 years this, so that way it's not just everything's thrown at once. And then not a knee-jerk reaction. I'm not saying that there's not an issue, I'm just saying we need to look at
Yeah, I understand.
all. Because we've heard it since we've been on here, the Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid that's been put on these schools and everything here that we need to look at before we go asking for money. Because like the high school needs a new bowler. Dude, we're lucky that it hasn't needed it yet. It's need to replace very soon. You know, so it's like we spend all this money, then we're not gonna have the money to do the other stuff that needs to be done. Upkeep.
I agree. Saying the 400,000 adequate facility tax is where we're gonna start off with, that concerns me a little bit too, if we were to drain that amount, so, so I agree. I don't wanna take away all of those funds, because there are other things that we need to have fixed.
I'm just, my thoughts are just, we need
That's why we're all here.
everything.
And that Band-Aid comment, that has always resurfaced.
Mhm.
You are correct. I agree with that. At the same time, I'm leery of that. I don't wanna do that again.
That's why I'm like, we need to really,
But also, I want us to do our due diligence and do it in a timely manner. Because this has got to take some precedence. No Band-Aids, but wise and discernment. Wise discernment with some expediency. I don't know how else to put it, but, and I think going a little bit more in depth with this was very beneficial. Looking at that building, I just wanted to go into it. I'm not gonna be able to see all this.
No.
We needed something like this, a little bit more extensive.
And I'm an educator, I'm not an architect,
Absolutely,
and so
me too.
that's why I wanted, it answered some of my questions that I had, so.
Yeah.
Miss Julie, I think Miss Lisa had a question for us.
Yes, I just wanted to say, why don't you ask in your questions, ask do they want to open Eastside again? Is that, do you want that open again? How do they feel about it?
And Miss Rebecca, you're kind of saying what I'd said, I think 2 meetings ago, maybe, and I don't remember now, about checking everything while we do this. All the stuff we really need, correct, like,
right.
okay. I want to make sure I understood you. That was the same thing.
Right, like the email.
Yes.
Back before I became a school board member, I said we need to come up with everything before a plan is put in place.
Multiple stuff, I got you.
exhaust every avenue before we even put it in place, so that way, okay, if we go down this road, okay, this may or may not happen, you know, make sure we have everything.
Correct. I understand. I agree 100% with you. Anybody else have anything else? Any more questions? And if you have some questions, when are you shooting to post this survey? Tomorrow, Thursday? Midnight?
I'm
No,
thinking,
just-
you know, about 7:17.
I mean, when would you want us to cut off emails if we,
I'll say, she's still working on an agenda for next
yeah,
week.
if we
so-
if we send emails to you, when would you like that to be cut off, is where I'm getting at.
Oh, let's see. I would like at least by the beginning of the week, and that way I could maybe have a draft for you.
So by Monday morning?
Yes, please. And then could have a draft. And if I get something prior to, then,
So July 6th, cut off for any extra questions.
would that be enough time, or would y'all like more time than
No,
that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Well, I know you're working on a bunch of policies that we've got to, and stuff, so it's,
I'm gonna have those done.
Yeah, you tell us what's best for you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that should, that will work.
The morning of July 6th, or the end of day July 6th. Where do
You
you
can
want
have it
us to
till
put
the end of the day, how about that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's just, I don't know why this is, I've thought about this a lot through this process, and I guess I just wanted to share what I was thinking about all of us with the decision that we have in front of us and what all goes into it. I don't know about the other four of you, but one thing that always has been on my brain from the very beginning of my time on the board was when we went to the new board member orientation with TSBA. They started by telling us, your job is to make the best possible school system for the students. That's your job. And of course, that has to deal with the policies and the money and all of that involved with that. It's all involved in it, but it's the best decision within what all we collect, making the best decision for the students. A lot goes into that. The information and research that's collected from our own personal research, like when we look, you know, Ms. Rebecca, a few minutes ago, you talked about, you know, what you looked at about psychology, about K5, K4. You looked into that. We each have done stuff like that. Something that was big for me was when we had cell phones and how all the policy with that. And like, we have to research on our own. We have to collect information from people that are, quite frankly, smarter than us. I am an educator too. I'm not an architect. So we have to take recommendations from people that know the different businesses that we're dealing with. And we do have to look at what the people in the community want. I just think that we have to be prepared that we can't solely look at one specific one of those areas and make our decision on that. We have to look at our research, what we know to be true, information from the experts. Thank you for joining us around the table. And what the community is wanting and telling us what we gotta take all that in consideration to make a well-formed decision for the students. And I guess I just wanted to share that, because I think sometimes it's so easy to think, I'm just gonna look at what this architect is telling us, and that's what I'm gonna go with. No, we gotta look at what the community wants, and we have to look at what is best for the culture of this district, because that's a lot different than the culture of other districts. So,
Community's paying the bill.
they are paying the bill, but we've been charged with making the decision. We've gotta take that financial, she's exactly right, we have to take that into consideration as well. All of that has to be looked at, so. I'm just glad to sit around the table with everybody. I think we all bring good things to the table, and I appreciate all four of you. You guys too, and Maggie.
And Miss Jessica is listening.
Yes, yes.
Anybody have anything else or not? Okay. Well, if everybody's good, we'll shut it down for tonight. Our next workshop is next Tuesday, July 7th, and our board meeting is July 9th. Thank y'all.